It's America's favorite holiday, Zero RB Friday. And that means today we're not going to draft running backs, at least through the first 5 rounds, probably 6. We'll see how it goes today. Of course, the last draft here before we go into the world of drafters on Saturday mornings. And I am already in a draft room here. Another Best Ball Mania 5. $1.5 million to first place. And it seems like the regulars all tried to time me out today in a way that I personally don't appreciate, including our draft stalker. We will make it work today, though, and I'm going to try to keep myself bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, even though, again, I prefer, guys, for the sake of all of us, we don't get in the same draft room, especially our red-faced alcoholic in the 8-hole here. We'll move it forward here. Shout out to all you guys watching live or after the fact. And we're doing the best we can to cobble together a 6-0 RB team, though, frankly, every day on stream this week, I've been cobbling together fairly 6-0 RB teams. Yesterday, really pushed the bleeding edge at QB a little bit too much. Ended up having to salvage that team with a late QB selection. But that's how it goes sometimes. I will defend the take yesterday. And I think it was one of the things where there was half the comments were like, oh, man, that sucks. You got to push QB. And then half of them were like, oh, I would have just taken a QB a little bit earlier. I do think fundamentally the move, if you have, the market cornered on a couple pass catchers, pushing QB is a very logical move to try to get the most value you can. That said, for some people out there, the risk aversion of that can be tough. And I certainly get how that can go. Amon-Ra St. Brown here, pick 6. We'll start in a chalky way. I think I've been low on Amon-Ra St. Brown overall. Of course, we'll look at my exposures at the end of the video. So far in Best Ball Mania 5. But in general, feel like for Amon-Ra, I do want to make sure I'm at least with the field on him. And I think actually we looked this up yesterday, and I was a little bit more than I thought I had on Amon-Ra. The guy I'm lowest on is Jamar Chase out of that top group. Got a little bit under 4% of him so far. Amon-Ra, after yesterday, we're at actually 13.7% Amon-Ra. So if I get 2x the field at Amon-Ra, I'm happy. I mostly want to make sure that I'm above 8% on all those first-round receivers who are not named Garrett Wilson, is my current beliefs on everything. Shouts to chat, though. Promise I jumped in early trying to avoid you. So there you go, Mr. B. Butthole. That's fine. It's fine. I get how it goes. Deep breath this AM. Yes, we'll do a lot of deep breaths. My face isn't red, but I'm an alcoholic. There you go. That's why you and the person we don't name anymore, Adam, are best friends who talk online all the time. GMs and deeds, everybody besides running backs. That's what it is today. But I'm excited to be in this draft. I'm excited to get one more BBM out. Probably just a one stream day today because I got to do a lot of work. And I also have to go force myself to walk 3 miles in fucking 90-degree weather, which is the one time I've really been enjoying the spring walks a day. Decided a couple months ago, or I guess like a month and a half ago now, was going to do like 3-mile walks a day because I keep trying to make myself run every year. And just like, I can't keep up with it. I don't like, my joints hurt. I'm almost a 40-year-old man. So trying to not run as much, trying to do something I could, be functional with every day. So I've been walking, listening to podcasts. This particular week, we're doing Founder University, Jason Calacanis, the famous angel investors program. So watching videos of that as, the learning lesson points that we have to do every week. So I've been doing that every day. Got to tell you though, like walking on the East Coast, like in this weather is just absolute misery. I was reading Pete's email right before this, and he talks about running in 90-degree weather in Colorado and the altitude. I'm sure that sucks worse, but God, just like walking around in thick humid air reminds me every day why I wanted to spend the rest of my life in LA. So shout out to the East Coast and your thick, disgusting air. let's all survive it. Running is minus EV. Walking is the way to go. I've had a lot of people say that to me as an adult. I don't know if that's one of those new scientific things. There's even a lot of like muscle guys I know who like do walk, all the muscle men I keep up with on my personal contacts. But like a lot of people use walking as their cardio. I think it's definitely a positive, and you can actually get some things done. You can be productive while doing it. Or, like if I'm not doing work or like focusing on something, like I'll try to go a little bit faster relative to whatever that means. I'll do some race walking out there. We got a 0010 here. Of course, RB is being pushed down in this room because it's full of badges and red-faced idiots. And we're going to go with Deebo Samuel here. Yesterday, we got the Amon-Ra Brandon Ayuk. I believe that was yesterday. Today, we'll go the Amon-Ra Deebo Samuel. Happy to get Detroit San Francisco combos whenever I can get them. Obviously, a game that we all expect. They have a lot of scoring in Week 17. I would say that that's almost one of the chalkiest Week 17 combos. And so I can tell you, honestly, seeing all the teams I do on social media and from the 10 team reviews a month that I have here that I give to our members on Splash Play, really think that there's a lot of people maybe not correlating for Week 17 as much as you might think. So that said, though, people who are correlating for Week 17, they love Detroit, San Francisco, and people who even don't like correlating end up taking Detroit and San Francisco a lot. So it's a chalky one for sure. Texas 90-degree heat, that is. Fuck it, mind over matter. The thing to me is, like, I've always been okay with dry heat. I hate humidity. Like, I loved Vegas when it was like 100 degrees there. Obviously, you still sweat. It's hot. But like, compare that to Florida in July. I would take Vegas. I would take Texas over that, 10 times out of 10. But obviously, people handle it all differently. It's still all heat. I just like the swampy heat is like my least favorite thing because I melt under swampy heat. Picture of Spags speed walking makes me like, we got to pump those arms. There are some old ladies I do see like doing legit speed walking. For me, it's more just like I'm just increasing the pace of steps. So like we're talking like 15-minute mile kind of walking, which is not the fastest in the world. But I'm like a bear out there. I'm like Michael Myers out there, just chasing people down while walking. There was a lady who used to run like 10 plus miles a day here. She only lived to be 46, got hit by a truck, but still walking. That has to be a joke, right? It feels like that's some like classic, like joke book style joke, but perhaps not. Houston, enough said. Or Houston Street, New York would also be equally hot. Shout out to our guy Bindles, again, the most generous man in best ball streaming, and also, again, generous with his time, too, creating a lot of content for people out there. And I keep seeing the views going up for Bindles as well, so shout out to him and for the kindness. Appreciate that a bunch. And shout out to whoever's a new member. I don't see it on StreamYard, but I hope it is someone good. Hope it's not fucking Redface. That's what I hope. Heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. That's it. That and breathing through your nose. I feel like that was one thing when I was trying to run a little bit more, and still now in general, like breathing through your nose. Like I'm a mouth breather. I'm an idiot. I'm a simpleton. No, like I breathe through my mouth a little bit more because I've always, like, since I had my tonsils removed as a kid, I don't get great airflow through my nose. But forcing yourself to breathe through your nose, no matter whatever the case, like basically going to make you better at running because you just get less tired, less winded. So that's something I learned too. So make sure to. Breathing is important. That's why meditating works. Like, even if there was some study that was done, like men, I guess, initially had reservations to meditating, but if they treat it as like breathing exercises, which is the same thing as meditating, apparently had a lot of the same benefits. Like, you're controlling your breath is one of the bigger health benefit things that people don't know out there. And of course, you hear this from me, the temple of health that you see on Splash Play every day. All right, DJ Moore goes, oh wow, shout out to Mr. Poopy Butthole. I will give him more thanks in a moment here. Zero RB Friday, obviously. I'm not going to pass up this Amon-Ra Sam Laporta start. Yesterday, I passed up Laporta. Felt kind of bad about it. Today, we're going to go his way. Might hurt us a little bit in this avalanche room, but I'm hoping the avalanche has stabilized a little bit. So we got a Detroit double with an Amon-Ra bring back. Probably chalky, as I mentioned. People love Detroit, San Francisco, but I'm happy with the start. I think it's a fun start in a Zero RB Friday. Shout out Mr. Poopy Butthole, who, again, didn't want to be in the draft room. I dragged him in. I said, Mr. Poopy Butthole, I need you in here. I need more Rick and Morty references in every single draft I do. But shout out Mr. Poopy Butthole, very generous for that one. And again, one of the best names in best ball right now. And you keep seeing people tweet about Mr. Poopy Butthole being in their draft rooms. And I've known about Mr. Poopy Butthole. I was the hipster on him because he's been in our streams for it's like a year for you now, right? Like maybe over a year. You've been a regular for a minute. So shout out Mr. Poopy Butthole for the kindness. I also find it hard to say Mr. Poopy Butthole. I have to slow myself down to say it. Fully enunciate it. So the butthole is open. Here we go. Not as chalky as ARSB, Ayuk, and Laporta. That's true. Is it, though? I feel like that's got to be a 50-50 split of the Detroit-San Francisco stacks at this point. But there we go. And welcome to the family, all the new members. Yes, welcome to the family indeed. It's a lot of people, but I can't see your names. But here, I'll put that. Welcome to the family, everyone. Get to 100 today. That'd be a great thing for old Spags, huh? I think we need like another 8. 8 more signups over the course of the next 50 minutes or so. Let's do it. All right. Tank Dell goes. No correlated bets for me right now, so nothing I'm like going out of my way to get. The tough part for me is I do want to take more Isaiah Pacheco, and he's staring me right in the face. Thankfully, don't have to be tempted by T. Higgins, who I did not like very much. Kind of feel like Josh Allen with the team might be a little more unique. Maybe. Let's take the shot at it. Still 0 RB. Again, we're not going wide receiver, which could be a problem. But passing up Cooper, who's holding out, passing up Kirk. Not the biggest Kirk guy in the world, even though I think he's appropriately ranked in ADP. I'm going to take Josh Allen here. Getting Josh Allen at 43 with this Detroit double and Debo. Don't know that we're unique yet, but I kind of think this sequence of players selected where you're taking 2 receivers, taking a tight end, taking an elite QB, I think that's a little bit less dupe than somebody mixing in a running back. Like, I think that happens a lot more, or people adding another receiver. So I think that's how that would go. Spags and Pete got me into basketball during COVID 2020. Only started recently jumping into the chats. Ooh-wee. There you go. You live the gimmick, Mr. Hoopy Butthole, and I'll appreciate you that for it. Personally, I'm saying it right to the camera so you know. Terry McLaurin goes to FFB holes at 45. FFB holes has got to learn how to stack, so hopefully for himself, he'll get himself Jaden Daniels today, though I'm never out of the Jaden Daniels market. You got to know that. I'll have to do double elite tight end if Kincaid falls. It's the only downside of taking Allen. That's what I was thinking as well. We'll see. We'll see what we do. Not going to sweat it yet. Happy with my top 2 receivers, at least as happy as I could be with Deebo Samuel, who I'm not one of the biggest Deebo fans in the world. Would rather have Ayuk generally. I'm okay with it. Justin gifting a membership too. Wow. It's Giving Friday here on Zero RB Friday. I appreciate that, Justin. Thank you very much. Guys, you're going to bring a tear to my eye with the generosity. Normally the gambling, every space, we're all fighting each other for scraps. And now here I am, the belle of the ball, my Make-A-Wish day, getting membership. Whatever. And honestly, it's one of those things though, wherever like there's a lot of memberships, I'm like, am I being punked? Like, is this like a Make-A-Wish? like we're like bringing the ugly kid to prom? But I do appreciate it. And if you do sign up, by the way, if you hit that join button down below, $4.99 a month, you get 10 team reviews a month from me, a VIP Discord, which I have to do a better job being the life of the party, and I'm just like so fucking swamped this week. And also, you get my rankings updated weekly. They will be updated this weekend again as well, with some new blurbs based upon some of the kind of beat reporter stuff in particular, because obviously camp is over. Now we have some of the beat reporter fallout. One beat thing I was surprised to see, which is not going to be relevant to where we are here at Pick 5. Shout out Adam too. Adam gifting a membership. Here we go. Make-A-Wish Day continues for me. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. I'll talk kindly about Georgia players whenever they come up in the next few rounds. But yeah, there was one beat report that Daniel Bellinger might be a cut candidate. Now, the guy was someone from SNY, like SNY reporting, I don't think is really a thing. As I say, there's a native New Yorker. That said, he speculated that Daniel Bellinger could get cut. I don't know if that's possible. I don't think they're going to go into the season with Lawrence Cager and with Theo Johnson, especially because the same reporter said Theo Johnson looked pretty rough around the edges at camp. So that's one, though. Like I've been saying, Bellinger, I expect him to get an extension because he was briefly holding out for a new contract on the assumption Waller was going to retire. Now Waller's retired. So I'm a little confused by that reporting, but I have to say it because like it did make me question my general priors. All right, we have to do double elite. I think that was the right take earlier. Though it is just at ADP, but this is kind of fun, right? Like we're not doing conflicting buys. We're getting the best parts of a Detroit stack and a Buffalo stack, 2 teams that we expect to be at least playoff competitive, if not Super Bowl competitive for Detroit. I'm taking Kincaid. We're going to have to dig out here. We're doing bully tight end. The win rates, the advance rates on bully tight end are not great. That said, I obviously believe in my ability to work rooms fairly well. These rooms may be a little bit tougher with a lot of badges. But still, like I like this build. I like getting Allen at 43. I like having this Detroit San Francisco base. I think we have fun things here that I can build off of. So that's going to be pretty tough. Playmaker saying thanks for the membership. There we go. Love to see that. Like Kevin's one of the guys who got a membership too. Shouts to all you guys here. Pretty ridiculous that I get the same people every time. That's why. And I probably took it out too much on you that one time. Bombadillic feeling moosey here. But yeah, it's like one of those things that's why I try to change up the time. And now people are following me on the changed up time. So that's a little bit tough, but we'll figure it out. There might be a day, I guess, where I have to just run a stream at 11:15 to keep everybody off my ass. But we'll figure it out. I just don't want anybody, again, selfishly taking 30% of my action. Like that's just not, or I guess, more than that, almost a third of my action and more on DraftKings. I don't want that. And it creeps me out, but apparently I just can't be heard by certain people. Patrick Mahomes goes at 59, which to me is where he should go. So happy to the person who got him unstacked. Hopefully he'll get Xavier Worthy for himself here. Nope. He takes, all right. So this guy soaked up the value on Mahomes, then takes Kyler Murray at 62. It's really compounding the error there. You got to get Worthy. You got to get Hollywood, who already went. So obviously you couldn't do that. You got to get Rashee Rice, who this guy takes at 60. This was a really, I would say, a really bad turn. This is really not the sharpest turn to me, how those guys approached it. That's how I feel about it, obviously. All right. Worthy is still here. We got to take Keon Coleman, I think. Obviously, could push him down a little bit further. Worthy is a little bit of a discount. I just don't trust that we can get Keon Coleman all the way back around. And I do think for this bet, Keon Coleman adds a lot more value than Worthy does. I'm just not the biggest Worthy guy. I like Coleman too much. I'm not passing up Coleman here. Good. I haven't really moved Coleman off where his ADP last was. Same thing for Ladd McConkey. To me, those guys were perfect in the mid-60s. Now Ladd and Keon Coleman are coming down because people are bored of clicking them in June. I really don't think there's a logical reason they're falling. Keon Coleman has been with the first team since day one. Ladd McConkey is definitely going to be more of a slot guy, but he's also been with the first team since day one and getting good camp reviews and looking good. Like, these guys have no reason to be coming down, and yet they're coming down. So to me, Keon Coleman is more valuable to my team. And I'm pretty sure, some of the automated tools out there, the Sidekick, that Legendary Upside just launched, whatever else out there that tells you, players how they should be valued, the guy Easy's tools, I think, do similar things. The correlation for Keon Coleman with Josh Allen, I think, would make him more valuable than these guys for me. So that's my logic. Keon sucks, though, is the issue to say. Look, I didn't think Keon Coleman was the best play, but still being the outside boundary receiver who can catch touchdowns and did that well at FSU last year. That's what stands out for me with Keon Coleman. I still think the talent is iffy. I think they would have been a better team if they had taken Troy Franklin in that spot. I'll die on that hill. But still, it just really matters the workload there. Keon being a big guy, and Josh Allen's going to give him shots. Like, if you can win jump balls, you got use. And I think that's where Keon Coleman, to me, just kind of grades out. I'd rather have a stake in a vacated target Buffalo offense than Ladd in a vacated target, but really potentially gross Chargers offense. We'll see, though. If you make a bet on Ladd and you make a bet on the Chargers passing more than anybody expects and it hits, you're going to be doing pretty well, I would think. What percent of drafters do you think just straight up draft who they like and don't care about correlation? Been baffled by some of the decisions in my draft rooms lately. Puppy drafts. I'm sure there's data on this out there. If I had to guess, 15 to 20% of people out there don't stack. Definitely don't week 17 correlate if they're not stacking. I've been shocked to see it a little bit more with some people, honestly, than even people who watch Splash Play. But I think there's people that think you can sort of outplay or take stuff. You can build structure around it. Ultimately, though, especially for pocket passers, you're just cutting the amount of things you have to get right. And that's the biggest part of best ball. Anything with, lineup generation, DFS, same thing. If you can cut your parlay, you have to cut your parlay. And that's the thing that you should be doing for any lineup. So stacking is really important. But yeah, I think maybe I would guess 10 to 20% of people probably think they can get away without it or don't know it's a thing. But I would assume there's less and less people every year that don't know it's a thing. Puppies be wild. Yeah, I've not been doing puppies, trying to save all of my EV and effort for these drafts, as well as bankroll too. But the puppies are definitely a little more of a lawless land. You're also getting some very sharp people in there as well. All right, so you've had a good 0 RB run. So Ladd McConkey here is a good pick. I did say it'd be nice to add him after he gifted a membership. Ladd McConkey, a great player. That said, we could take Jameson Williams, and that would increase our Detroit bet in a way where we're really cornering the market on an offense I like. Could also take David Montgomery, who I like to end the 0 RB's drought. But we need a receiver more. I'm taking JMO. I am higher than a lot of people on JMO. I'm going to continue to be higher than a lot of people on JMO. Just a guy who hasn't really had, I think this is the big thing that people miss when they want to critique him. He hasn't had enough time to have the growth you'd expect from year 1 to year 2. He was hurt year 1, year 2, he gets suspended. Like, he hasn't had the growth time you need to make the leap from year 1 to year 2, to make the leap from year 2 to year 3. Now he's getting a full offseason with rave reviews from Dan Campbell, especially according to guys like the Coach Speak Next guy, getting rave reviews way different compared to how Dan Campbell used to talk about Jameson Williams in previous years. So to me, like, getting a bet in here on Detroit, who I expect to be a top 3 NFC team, a lot of continuity there too. The Athletic article breaking down the Detroit stuff on the Athletic. I guess I said Athletic twice there. They basically were talking about how this is 4 years for Aaron Glenn as DC, 3 years for Ben Johnson as OC. Like, these guys have more continuity than probably anybody in the NFL besides, a few teams. So that's something that I think matters a lot. I like this bet a lot. I like having these concentrated bets on great teams. And I think we're doing it pretty well here. Let's see. It's a horrible pick, especially over the discount. I mean, you could talk me to taking JMO over Lad straight up. I don't think that JMO versus Lad, like, Lad's okay. I'm not the biggest Lad believer in the world. I would rather have a share of a high octane offense that's going to score a lot of points. You can feel differently. When you're in the same situation, take JMO. I'll absolutely give you that. Shout out Anthony here. Appreciate you being a new member, Anthony. Well, I guess your name's actually might be Latino, but hey, both of them work for me. Welcome to the family, Anthony. Big Tony, we love you coming down here, joining the Squirt Squad. It means a lot to me here as we push towards 100 members for the first time ever. So welcome to the family, Anthony. I'm messing up your name, even though your name was my dad's name. So, bad on me, but good on you. Welcome to the family, Anthony. Anthony. We'll do, full. That's how you do it if you're really doing Italian stereotype mode. Anthony. Long time, first time. What does the projected number mean by your pick position? All right, shout out. First of all, Eric, if you're fully new around here, please use that promo code SPLASH at Underdog because that's up to $250 in bonus cash for you. And I don't think we get a lot of new Underdog people coming to these streams. The second part is that's just Underdog's projection. It's not really a number I'd worry too much about. If you're drafting teams a lot and your projection at the end looks like 2,000 or even like too high where it's like 3,500, probably means you're drafting too many QBs. That's the only thing to check for it, but it's just Underdog's projection number and not the thing I would hold with the greatest weight of salt is basically it. Never trust your gambling provider for data as rule number one of gambling, I would say. Big RB run here that doesn't help me out. And I'll read Nolan's chat in a minute because Nolan, I know, and don't worry about it. 1042 here. We could increase the Buffalo bet with a guy who's got a pretty locked in role in Curtis Samuel. We can also end our RB fast. But we're at basically at ADP for everything here. Like, there's no screaming discounts. So I'm going to go Samuel here and make sure that we have a wide receiver room that I could feel good about. And then we're going to go hard and heavy at RB coming up. But this is basically it. So the team so far, let's give it a read, and then we'll also go back to Nolan's chat. We got 1052. We got Josh Allen at QB. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Keon Coleman, Jameson Williams, Curtis Samuel at wide receiver. So we're really doing a Buffalo bet, a Detroit bet, and obviously Niner bring back there. We got Laporta and Kincaid, again, increasing that Detroit bet, increasing that Buffalo bet. Some people out there may feel like this is overstacked, but to me, it's really one of those things where you're getting shares of top or, presumed top offenses. You're hopefully cornering a market here. If I started to add on Khalil Shakir with this, if I started to add on Dawson Knox, if I started to add on, I don't know. There's really nothing else we could add on for Detroit. If I add on Khalif Raymond, maybe I'm pushing a little bit too much. The Raymond's free. I think that's where you can start to question things. But with this build, I think we're just mostly saying the pass game does well. Maybe we're even making a claim that the run game is going to not do as well. And that's the story that this team is selling. Nolan with the very kind super chat here. Not trying to be an ass and join every room. It's just the best time for me to draft. Nolan, you haven't been in as many rooms as mine. We know who the asshole is. It's the guy in the 8-hole who has, again, been requested kindly to not be in every stream draft after being in almost 50 of my BBMs last year. He can't take a hint. He's like, and it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm trying to move past it. We had the season finale of that last Thursday if you want to see how I handled that. But ultimately, nothing else I could do besides literally going to Ohio and punching him in the face. And I would love to do that. There's a scene in The Boys in the new episode, I won't spoil, where somebody smashes somebody's face in, and I'm like, man, that must, that must feel really nice. It must feel really nice to get that out on somebody you strongly dislike who makes you uncomfortable. And that's what, that's what the dream is for the man in the 8-hole. Smash him good. We got Jaden Daniels goes to the guy. Our poor Mr. and not Mr. Poopy Butthole, poor FFB holes who I've been saying, man, you got to stack up your teams more. He stacks up Jamar Chase, gets Joe Burrow. I was really hoping he'd get Jaden for himself at 100, but Jaden goes unstacked. That is a tough part with Jaden drafting. And I say that as the internet's number one Jaden Daniels fan. I don't care what anybody else is going to tell you. I've been sucking this guy off on stream since January. So I started first doing data prep for the season. For Jaden Daniels, to me, that's the risk, really, is you got to worry about guys taking him. Obviously, you shouldn't reach too crazily for him unless every person on the board speaks to you less than Jaden Daniels does on your particular team. But to me, Jaden Daniels' true price, and I've heard a few sharp people saying this recently on various content. I think Underdog had somebody on saying the same thing, Jane Daniels' price should probably be like ahead of Joe Burrow. I would say you can make the case should go ahead of Kyler Murray in some rooms. Sounds crazy. We're talking about one of the best rushers in college football ever, one of the best passers in college football ever, and a guy, too, who would have had like 1,250 yards if college football didn't count sacks last year in rushing. Really just a lot there for him that I think is important to note. We're going to have to end the 0 RB run here, and taking a minor discount on Tony Pollard seems like the way to do that. So Tony Pollard, come on down. We're just going to vacuum up whatever RBs are available at this point. I think we've built a very nice base, but obviously sticking RB is going to be the hard part now. It's 0 RB Friday. There we go. What a great episode. Homelander kills the villain role. Yeah, it's, again, I don't want to spoil the episode, and I'm not going to, so don't worry about it. But like, this episode is one where, like, if they had handled Homelander differently, maybe you have some sympathy for him and you enjoy it more. Instead, it's just a great acting episode. Nothing else. A lot of different stuff. A lot more happened in episode 4 that I thought was going to happen in episode 3. I thought they were going to like close the first 3 episodes of something really big, and so they went pretty heavy on episode 4. But boy, it really does go off the rails in that one. Chad's going to let you live down taking JMO over Lad. The mutiny has begun. I mean, look, I honestly, you could talk me into ranking Jameson Williams where he was initially last year. People forget the thing that we always say here. People forget that Jameson Williams was like in the 50s, like last year. I think that I certainly get some of the critiques of what he showed over the course of last season. But what mattered to me was how he started to hit the ground running a little bit more towards the end of the season and in the playoffs. And to me, that matters a lot for a guy like JMO, who we just need to see some signs of a breakout with his speed, and then losing Josh Reynolds. That is, to me, the biggest key part. You lose Josh Reynolds. That was Jared Goff's safety blankie for multiple stops now, multiple years in Detroit, and multiple stops going back to the Rams. To lose that just opens up so much opportunity for JMO. Now, can you say that, yeah, Moore's going to go to Amon-Ra, Moore's going to Laporta? Sure. Moore's going to go to Gibbs. Moore's going to go to Montgomery. Make that case for sure. People want to make bets on Khalif Raymond in the 18th. The more logical thing is that the guy with the great pedigree, who also is one of the best college receivers against press coverage, is going to finally break out. And this, full year 3 he has after having a slow start due to injury and gambling suspensions. So I love the JMO bet, but maybe I'll die on that hill. I don't know. Got some JMO over Lad. I appreciate that. I mean, look, I think you should view it a little bit. Love over Daniels is hard, man. It's really hard to fail if you're going to rush as much as Jaden Daniels probably is, but you got to obviously make whatever bet you want. Brian Robinson, I think, wouldn't be a bad pick here. Nothing correlation-wise we really need to get. Singletary, also fine. I like Brian Robinson a little bit more than Singletary, and we do have 2 laid outs with Giants running backs that we don't have with Washington. Obviously, we would have Eckler coming up in a little bit, but it's fine. Team so far is a 1-2-5-2. We got Josh Allen, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson Jr. Again, expect to benefit a lot from an up-tempo offense in Washington. Going to be a lot of no huddle there, and Brian Robinson might not be able to be taken off the field for Austin Eckler in passing downs, which should be a good sign. But obviously, Eckler can stay on the field too for certain times. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Keon Coleman, Jameson Williams, and Curtis Samuel. So we still got our 5 receivers through 100, even though we deviated a lot for elite QB and 2 elite tight ends. But our elite tight ends are very elite. Sam Laporta and Dalton Kincaid. Will not be adding a 3rd tight end to this group, and hopefully we'll be adding a 2nd QB at some point. How many bong rips are too many during a BBM draft? I believe you forgot the ooh-wee, Mr. Poopy Butthole. Depends on your tolerance. I mean, I could smoke through an entire draft. I mean, we saw last year. Granted, that was like a pretty big joint. I did smoke a joint during the DraftKings draft, one of the DraftKings drafts last year, and I was fine. Definitely was like, a joint will hit you a little bit harder, but you're probably good to take 5 to 10 bong rips as long as you're a frequent smoker, if I had to guess. Not ripping too hard. 1 per round. Okay, so we're saying up to 20. I'd go 5 to 10. I'd go half. Oh, shut up, Adam. How many people on stream are ever doing that? I'm willing to do it. I'm not trying to get hired by NFL Network. I'm just here living life. So it was fun. People enjoyed it. Fuck off, man. I'm pretty cool. I'm not saying it's cool to smoke a joint normally, especially because I vape. You got to make your weed last. But come on, guys. Let's acknowledge that being the bad boy, being the Dennis Miller best ball, is smoking. I should get a pack of cigarettes to smoke on stream every day. Not tell the wife. Smoke blunts back to back while drafting. There we go. That's a classic Big Sunny kind of move. I bet those blunts are real. Backwoods kind of blunts we talking here? Love a good backwoods blunt. All right, here. So we're going to do the thing again. We've got the, first of all, Purdy is not kind of a fun concept to take Purdy for this build, but we're so tied to Detroit, it would also be foolish. I'm going to take Jerome Ford for now. I think we do need to shore up RB more. The hope is that we'll be able to push Jared Goff around, but we do have buffoonery in these rooms sometimes, so we'll see how that goes. But once again, we're going to push Jared Goff, and let's hope that the outcome plays out well. And the reason that we push Jared Goff here is because of the fact that an unstacked Jared Goff is one of the worst picks in best ball. Certainly people do it sometimes. That said, there's no reason that Jared Goff should not come back to 139, but we needed an RB there. Needed to get one more good RB in. Adam, you know I don't usually do this lightly, but I'm going to give you the 5-minute timeout. Run a lap, Adam, for that comment. We don't wish cast against me. Fuck this. San Fran, man. San Fran, man. Are you mad because I have all the San Fran guys? Unstacked Jared Goff with no Niners. Ooh. Dude. Well, okay. So the good news. The good news, we're rolling to week 17 with that. And also, by the way, fucking we're rewatching Silicon Valley. In Silicon Valley, they talk about Schrodinger's cat. And the concept basically, if you give a cat poison in a box, there's a 50-50 shot he's going to eat the poison. Then if you open the box, you're the one that's basically killed the cat. Adam killed the cat. Adam cost me Jared Goff by saying that. He opened the box that Schrodinger's cat was in, and I didn't get Jared Goff as a result. So I feel even better about making him get a 5-minute timeout. Yeah, 5 minutes on the bench. 5 minutes fucking in my ass. Fucking what? Oh, what a stupid draft pick, though. There's no value to unstack Jared Goff. There's no value to it. Take a later QB. It's so fucking dumb when people do this. I know this keeps happening, and it's going to keep happening all summer. You should be able to push Jared Goff when you have 2 out of the 3 Lions, let alone when you have the 3 top Lions. There's no fucking reason to take Goff. But the good news is we're going to get Goff production. We're going to get another fucking QB. And we're also going to get the most badass running back in football, Marshawn Lloyd, as my RB4. Ooh. Ooh-wee. I'm going to give the angry version of ooh-wee. That was fucking bullshit. Never trust the badge list to not do something. I never want to cast the badge list out because there are bad drafters with badges. We see one of the red face, one of them's often on stream. But I would say in general for me, like, you gotta, at a certain point, you gotta learn a little bit about the thing you're doing. Now you're spending $25 on an entry for, and like you're not killing my team. You're hurting my team. You're giving me more opportunity because I'll add another stack on top. But like, Jesus, man, it's just stupid drafting. And we're in year 5 of this shit. And I didn't do the first BBM. I hopped in BBM 2. Then I got really big into it. BBM 3, maxed out BBM 4. I get it. I'm a unique case here of investing time and effort into learning a thing. If you're going to do these fucking drafts, like, just have some idea of what's going to give you a shot at winning. Don't just waste your $25. San Fran, man. I hope he's fucking as high as balls and it's 8:30 in the morning there. That's the excuse. It's not greedy. This is what good drafting is. Like, you have to be willing to push things when logic should allow you to get things back. It's not greed. That's what being a smart drafter is. Watch any other smart drafter out there, please. I encourage you. You're assuming most people draft logically. You need to assume people draft illogically and plan around that. But that's how people end up taking QBs like 20 picks ahead of ADP. That's why stacks get steamed up, because people can't imagine their idea of not getting their guy in their stack. So like, I really do want to be mindful of not doing that. And I still fundamentally believe, I've said it in people's team reviews, I've said it in general, in rooms where, especially when there's this many badges, Jared Goff should come back to you when there's no other Detroit receivers available. Like, that's just how that should go. But it's fine. Tilt's over. We move on. It is one of those things though, like, if you're the person, if you're San Fran, man, you're hurting yourself for no reason too. So that's the downside. Being high as balls does not make you grow an extra chromosome. That is true. And drafting Jared Goff unstacked is an extra chromosome kind of mood. I think we can all agree. It's giving extra chromosome is what Gen Z would say. All right, what do we do? Let's think this out a little bit. So I'm okay with just having the bet on Detroit, to be clear. Like, I think that's perfectly fine and fun and all that. Yeah, I honestly, I think it's just got to be a brand new stack. There's nothing correlation wise that I have here at this point. Still need to make it up at RB a little bit more. And you know what? Again, we have this big bet on Buffalo. I mean, is it too big to add Ray Davis on top? I'm not sure about that. I'm going to go Ray Davis here. I think this may be a little too stacky of Buffalo, but they're cheap enough that I can live with this price tag because basically there's no receivers for Buffalo besides Dalton Kincaid in the top 60, and Dalton Kincaid is barely in the top 60. So I think the hope here is that we just get ping-ponging days. We have the base of Detroit's offense. We have Debo. And then I think the RB room is shored up pretty decently for as heavy as I did going 0 RB. Let's give the team a read here, and I think let's tack on some late stack bullshit. We got Josh Allen, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson Jr., Jerome Ford, Marshawn Lloyd, and Ray Davis. Wide receiver, we've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Debo Samuel, Keon Coleman, Jamison Williams, and Curtis Samuel. So 2 Samuels. I didn't realize that. If only Screech were still alive to see it. Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid are our tight ends. The elite tight end hurt this team a little bit. Losing Jared Goff hurt this team the most. I think with Jared Goff, this team is flawless, honestly. I would need to tack on some Jets stuff late. We're not going to be able to do that. The guy who took off have Gibbs. I don't believe he did. No, he had Brees. He had nothing. He had nothing correlated with Goff. Yeah, welcome back, Adam. Adam, go away. Yeah, it's bully Adam now. Adam's strong enough to take it. Oh, man, that is frustrating. Malachi Corley, by the way, I don't think a good pick at all in the top 160. I don't think he's a good pick. Top 180 right now. The Gibson being ahead of him thing is not good. Gibson is young enough. Corley's going to probably get some design work, but you also have Lazard there still threatening for work. Maybe Lazard ends up a cut, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers would allow that. Think that Corley, to me, has been mispriced a lot of this time. And if you're taking him even higher than ADP, I would say that's probably even more egregious. All right, well, I think we know some stuff that we can do. You can see on the screen, perhaps. This is also like the death of RB at this point as well. Let's see these guys. 1 QB, 1 QB. All right. We're going to the emergency. We're breaking in case of emergency. What could have been a great Buffalo stack will instead now be Denver. Going to add Troy Franklin in here, and we're going to see if we can make this bet in the way we want to down the home stretch. I was going to consider taking a New England running back there in Antonio Gibson because we do have this Buffalo bet. Buffalo plays New England in week 16. Thought that was a decent tiebreaker, but I think we need to set up the Denver stack more and then hopefully grab Bo Nix late. But we'll see in this room of everybody listening to me how that'll work out. But that is a tough one that we would like to accomplish here today. I still believe Franklin is better than Keon in terms of what he can do on the field. Yes, I think I get why the Bills would want to draft Keon because he's very large and he's going to be able to do something in the red zone as a worst case scenario. If he gets better than that, great for him. For Troy Franklin, like he's a great downfield target. I mean, we've seen some plays with him in Denver, though. As I've mentioned, like Denver didn't really give a lot of like, oh, Troy Franklin's one of the first team looking great. It wasn't anything like that came out of it. But I think Franklin to me is a downfield target with what they want to accomplish there. Franklin would have been a better play. He's probably not as good of a red zone threat as Keon. So that's the trade-off, I guess. But I would take the higher efficiency player always. Like that's continues to be the theme every year. It's like every year we have these guys who come out and, you know, unless there's a reason why the efficiency was low, like for the most part, the most efficient players in college end up some of the most efficient players in the pros. And I think that's ultimately you should fall back on. But that's how I feel about it. Personally, I like playing the Lions-Niners game without the QBs. Look, I think when we have Josh Allen and we have the best part of Detroit's pass game without Jared Goff, I'm okay with it. It just sort of hurts. Like, it's good for week 17. It's not great for the entire season because of the fact that, like, if JMO has great games, if Amon-Ra has great games, if Laporta has great games, Goff is going to come along into a lineup some of those times. But if Allen just is a crusher this year, which he can be because theoretically he should be consolidating some of the goal line work from the running backs and some of the pass game production just not being as efficient with guys like Diggs, guys like, for whatever his flaws may be, downfield Gabe Davis. Allen could have a great year that just crushes a QB every week. So I think that's the main hope, but I don't know. Let's see. Got some more coming up here. We're going to take Marvin Mims here. So we're going to get the Denver double, and we're hopefully going to be able to get Bo Nix at a reasonable price tag. But at this point of things, probably not going to push it too crazily. How do I feel about the Cowboys RBs? I think they're functionally very similar plays. I would prefer Zeke. Think Zeke's more likely to have the trust coming in to get the goal line work, to get some of the high value touches. That said, Rico, in terms of the advanced analytics, the EPA metrics that I always use in everything from Sports Info Solutions, those, like, they're probably pretty much 1-to-1 in those. So neither guy, high avoided tackle rate guy, neither one is that great. Both guys come with some risk that a better running back could come in, maybe a cut candidate, and just beat him out. But I personally think at this time in drafts, I like taking one of Zeke or Dowdle if things line up for me, with their ADPs. But I think it's a good bet worth taking. Like, it takes so little to be better than Tony Pollard was in the red zone last year. And if either of these guys are, they're going to have a really good role for themselves. Let's see. You think I can push Geno an entire round? I have all 3 Seattle wide receivers. That's the Goff guy takes them. At this point, I don't know what it would be worth to risk it. You still have some guys with 1 QB in this room, myself included, but guys who aren't me. So that's the biggest risk point for everything right now. Because those guys might want to take 3 QBs, and then you're completely fucked. And they clearly have no scruples about stacking or whatever. Was hoping Braylon Allen would come back. It's wild to see Braylon Allen going at 160. He's still mostly a pure handcuff, or actually 180. Never mind. That's fine. 180 is fine. I'm too worked up, hoping my room doesn't fall apart here down the home stretch. But Braylon Allen 180, I think, looks better when you have. I guess he's got a bet on the Jets. All right, fair enough for Dick Gilly. Dick Gilly's done, I think, a few dumb shit things in this draft, but I would say getting Braylon Allen when you have other Jets players, maybe not a bad move. Just try to fade Brees, try to get a Brees injury. San Fran douches Hawkinson and Likely as his tight ends. Nobody said he's a good drafter. Anybody accused him of that? But this is funny because, this is a room, I would say, of people who are mostly good drafters. Even the guy that I hate for his flaws, he's still a decent drafter. And which is why, he's an idiot for forcing himself into every fucking room, desperate for attention. San Fran man, though, objectively a bad drafter, takes these 3 QBs. Don't believe he has correlation, or he does have correlation with Drake London. So he took 3 QBs with correlation with one of them, took a tight end who's out for half the year, and a tight end who's going to play in 12 personnel if he's lucky. One bad apple can ruin the bunch, and that's what happened in this room. But it's okay. Not a badge, bro. Donk's going to donk. Again, I've seen very good drafters who don't have badges, so I will still defend that. But definitely in this particular room, you can make the case. All right, you know what? We're going to learn from our mistakes, I think. Would like to get a 6th RB here, but I think we're going to go a different route with that. We're just going to grab Bo Nix now, way ahead of ADP, but I can't get scooped entirely at QB. This leaves, theoretically, gives us some optionality if we want to try to set up one more stack. But, again, we have one guy here without a QB. If I think a couple other people maybe who have one. At least one more guy who has one. I'm not risking it anymore. So Bo Nix, double here. Currently, my favorite bailout stack is this Denver late double. You may feel differently, though. Definitely don't want to draft with all sharp drafters. Yeah, that's the thing is, I'm willing to take the Jared Goff snipes. The issue is in this room, we're getting both, where it's a lot of sharp drafters and then one guy who hurt what I was setting up for my team for no particular reason. So I hate getting it the worst on both sides. To me, I'd rather have a room full of one or the other, but, that's how it goes. We can't have it all. People here, punch that like button like it's Mr. Redface. Yes, please hit that like button. Hit that like button like you're one of the characters in The Boys that I did not spoil earlier. But please subscribe down below. Hit the like button. New drafts every Monday to Saturday at 11 a.m. Of course, on Monday to Friday, they're all BBM drafts for me. On Saturday, we hop to the world of Drafters Million, which is a great site as well. If you are watching the stream, by the way, and you only play on Underdog, I would recommend checking out Drafters, promo code SPLASH on there, up to a $100 deposit match. And the biggest thing for you guys out there, especially if you are trying to make your money last, you get a free entry and 10 entries to the Drafters Million. You also get up to 7 free entries if you put in 100 entries. You get to $100 back. I guess you just get $100 back if you max out that tournament. So Drafters doing a lot that they can to get this community in. So please go check out Drafters as well. And feel free to draft me tomorrow. On Drafters, it doesn't matter quite as much if you have sharp people in the same room, because there's no playoff pods, no regular season pods. So you're just competing for total points, and you can do that in a variety of ways. So check out Drafters as well, please. And of course, we'll be doing the reading of names and stuff coming up at the end in my exposure review. And we'll see how that goes. All right, 2 picks coming up here. What do we do? We closed out our Denver stuff, and I think we can increase that. I am okay taking Tank Bigsby here. Probably need one more receiver too, right? But why are all the QBs left? What what happened here? This is how this room is going. I'm going to take Tank here. I think Tank, to me, is an ideal 6th RB and a 0 RB build. Guy who, again, more signaled this week from interviews with Doug Peterson about having a role in this offense, being a guy they want to feed touches to because he does some spectacular things, they say. But he also said, like, he has, like, his plays end up one way or the other was, I think, the gist of the quote. So for that situation, I think that I'm okay taking Tank here. Might still take one more RB. Could take another receiver. But correlation-wise, a receiver, like, what does a Chase Claypool do for me? I don't know. Maybe a jet. Well, actually, maybe something fun we could do. For a low-owned receiver who's getting good camp buzz is what I'm thinking. Why am I low on Roshan? He's blocked right now. He needs Khalil Herbert to get cut. I just don't see why they would do that with his contract being where it is. Signing DeAndre Swift is a big one. Roshan needs to overcome a lot now. And I think he's talented, but I think that they're not doing enough. Like, if you wanted him to make a move upwards, you don't sign DeAndre Swift. I think was really it. If they ran into this year with Roshan, and Herbert as like the lead backs, and then you have your Blossom games, you have your kind of weirdo guys later on, I think that's fine. But instead, they made moves to get away from Roshan and give him a real role. So I think that's not great signal. But I like the talent still for Roshan. Like, there's a world where he can win the power back role, but Tank, I know, has a role right now. And to you, that's what you're doing these different draft periods. When you are drafting, from January until August, you're trying to take advantage of these different time periods. And right now, we know that, like, Tank Bigsby is a guy they want to use. We don't know anything about Roshan being a guy they want to use. And if anything, felt like there were like no camp reports for him at all. Spags, everyone's looking for this year's 2022 Seattle Sack/values and 2023 Bucks Sack values. Could Carolina be it? Yeah, Carolina. I mean, Denver, those are the two I think are most live, where the starter, the deal going on. So to me, I think that would be the move, yeah. Or it's like, one of the moves. One of the moves. All right, so we got everything back. I just love Jalen Hyatt for this kind of team. I was thinking Audric Estime. I'm still pretty lofty in my Audric Estime bags and want to get them down to closer to 16%. So I'm going to close this team out with Jalen Hyatt here, and we'll give this team a read. We'll go with 2 QBs, 6 RBs, 8 receivers, 2 tight ends. We got Josh Allen, Bo Nix at QB, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson Jr., Jerome Ford, Marshawn Lloyd, Ray Davis, and Tank Bigsby at RB. Wide receiver, we've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Debo, Keon Coleman, Jamison Williams, Curtis Samuel, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Jalen Hyatt. I was going to take Xavier Gibson, but Hyatt's just a much better play, so that's why I took Hyatt. Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid. So we don't get a Jets bring back for Buffalo, but we do have a Niners-Detroit game stack without the QBs. We do have Denver, no Cincinnati bringbacks. I think we salvaged pretty well for getting sniped, but that's it. And guys, hey, I'm already in a draft room. We're doing one more draft here. I have shit to do. As I mentioned, I got to go walk. I got to do a probably email for the week. We'll get one more draft in here. I'm going to have, again, none of the regulars in here because I snuck it in because that's apparently what I have to do. I have to go, fucking tiptoe my way around to get into rooms without certain people. Thank you, stepfathers. I appreciate. That's so stupid. but that's most of your chats are, so it's okay. I see. I have eyes. Let's see what we're going to do here from the 10 hole, though. You'll get more offensive snaps than if you get cut. No, I don't know what we're talking about, but sure. Don't think I need another team stack. No, I still would like, if you're going to have 2 QBs or 3 QBs, like I want to get game stacks out of them. There's enough data. There's a really good ETR long video they did with Leone, with Adam Levitan, and Justin Herzig, talking about the value and talking in particular about that article that Leone did recently, breaking down some of the BBM data from the last few years and what works. You know, if you're going to stack up QBs, I mean, if you're going to have QBs, you should be stacking them. If you're going to have stacked QBs, you should have a bring back for week 17. Like that seems to be the core part of it. So I always want to have those if I can. Obviously, you can't always predict how things are going to go. Like I didn't anticipate having Denver in that room. We had to do it. So here we go. Very sneaky me. Excited for the draft. Yeah, I had to really time it out well, but it timed out okay. So we got that going. Double draft here. Another 0 RB Friday. If you enjoy what you're seeing here, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. Got a pick coming up now. Pick 10 here. A little bit of a fall for Breece Hall, and this is where I think he should go. Wow. Okay. Are we getting, what is going on in this room? So we're getting avalanched a little bit here. So we got to stay ahead of the avalanche, and I will choose to never take Garrett Wilson as I continue to. And if you want to dunk on me for anything when the year is on, if I'm wrong about something, it's going to be not ever wanting Garrett Wilson. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Would have been happy to take Drake London there too. Really not a big difference between them. Breece Hall at pick 12. Got to feel good for Saraceno. Running the deep risk of getting avalanched, but got to feel good for Saraceno if they don't get avalanched. Yay, Spags, the double dip. There we go. Speaking of double dip, what's my favorite flavor of ice cream? In general, I probably get the Ben & Jerry's Netflix and chill the most right now. But historically, cookie dough, those kind of things, peanut butter cup stuff. 0010 here. No Rams at this point. Do like continuing to make bets on Olave. I'm going to do that here. Somebody can have the falling Gibbs. It's not enough of a discount for me to deviate from 0 RB Friday. London versus Wilson feels like the same bet. I would disagree because I have a lot more faith in Kirk Cousins creating a very fantasy and friendly environment for that team, along with Zach Robinson, the OC. The bet on the Jets is still fundamentally a bet on a defensive team with a 40-something-year-old QB. And Kirk, for his flaws, still mid-30s, coming off his injury. But, you know, that's really the biggest stuff for me. That number one, we've seen Kirk Cousins create really fantasy-friendly environments. Number two, we've seen Zach Robinson create a really fantasy-friendly environment for his role in the Rams. And he's bringing a lot of that stuff over to Atlanta from the Rams. For the Jets, we have Nathaniel Hackett. We have a defensive coach who's now interfering with the offense, which never works out, by the way, and also a defense that's really good, and I could carry them through games. So where is the offense going to explode? I don't know. For Atlanta, it's pretty obvious where it explodes. It's just being competent there. That's my belief. But I think people give Garrett Wilson, as I've said a few times, like I think Sam Sherman made the best point this week after their ADP chasing show, saying like, oh, people want Garrett Wilson to be A.J. Brown when you have A.J. Brown right there. Like I want Drake London to be Justin Jefferson, I guess in like the best case scenario, but I think he can be better than Garrett Wilson in most outcomes as well. That's how I feel about it. You can feel differently, but I think we know enough about the Jets. I just don't get the Jets love always, especially for like when they give signal that should make people move off and they just don't move off. Like Breece to me should be going at the 1-2 turn reliably, not for his talent, because of the fact they drafted 2 running backs in addition to drafting one last year. Like and then they signed another one, and Tariq Cohen, even though supposedly that's for kickoffs, like he's getting running back reps too. So read signal. In terms of production, Adam, is what we're talking about. It's a fantasy football concept here. In a defense or defensive Garrett Wilson, he's performed better than Drake London the last 2 years, the worst QB play 2 years in a row. Are we saying that his QB play is actually worse than Atlanta's? I think that's pretty 1-to-1 to me. He's performed okay. Still a negative EPA receiver. He's a good target earner. But I don't know. We're now enough years into this experiment that to me, I haven't seen him do enough. And he just kind of keeps getting price locked in the same situation. If he were going more where, honestly, if you were going just more in the pack of Harrison, of London, of Olave, I could take that bet more. But he's being treated like he's A.J. Brown, like he's Puka, and he's never been anything close to either of those guys. So that's really where I stand with it, and I'd rather take the bet on other guys. Like, based on the football part of it, I'd rather take the bet on other guys. I mean, yeah, well, Zach Wilson, I guess they're both technically backups. They're both awful. They're really both awful, but they are basically 1-to-1 plays. But Drake London, I think the biggest issue is like Garrett Wilson still had 10 target games, still had, plus 10 target games. Drake London, they just never even like thought to do that with him. Like that's the biggest thing to me is like, we just don't know what his ceiling is. And you add in the fact, too, that Drake London, again, another guy that should be able to beat press coverage a lot more, was graded at USC. I think these are the things that matter to me. Having the QB play, having the OC, having a team that's going to be more aligned and getting you the upside you need. Like, those are the things I look for. I just think there's a lot of price lock on Garrett Wilson. Our guy Nez here, of course, doing great work with the Badge Bros. Always glad to see him here as one of our also man has supported Splash Play for a long time, and I appreciate him for it. We have Cooper Kupp aligning here, a little bit of an ADP discount. A lot of debate on Cooper Kupp on social media lately. I think that honestly, you want to critique him. I think it's fair. Certainly was less good last year. He also wasn't the most efficient the year before last. He just had so much volume that it kind of masked it. So I think in some respects, the shot at him being more efficient is a positive with Puka Nacua there. The downside is you're not going to get that crush of 10 to 15 targets a game. But in terms of spike week stuff, in terms of having a week 17 bet with Marvin Harrison, I think that stuff works for me here. So Cooper Kupp, less of a fun, shiny new toy than Tank Dell and Zay Flowers, but I have to take him some, especially because we're going to look at my exposures at the end of this draft. I am like shockingly high on Zay Flowers because he ends up being the only guy there for me at the turn. So I end up taking Zay a lot, and I want to be able to get some more Cooper Kupp, some more Michael Pittman instead of Zay if I can. Okay, Starkindler saying fire start, as the kids say. Thank you with that. Oh, another bad take from Stepfathers. Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson produced like Chris Olave. In what way did he produce like Chris Olave? The second part of that, though, is like, am I saying Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, hasn't had a good fantasy game since 2022, and even then was not good the last time he played a full season of football. I think there's a lot of difference there. Again, we talked about the defense, talked about the desire to run, talked about the elite running back. There's a lot of things that would go against Wilson, but if you want to keep, please keep paying the rake and drafting Wilson. You'll say it very confidently, Stepfathers, like you know what you're talking about, and I know you don't. 0030 here. I think at this point we keep banging. Christian Kirk. Let's do that. Pickens being here is okay. Also, anyway, I just really don't like Stepfathers that much, really. Things shining through here. But point being, you see enough people in chat, you know. Team so far, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, and Christian Kirk. 4 wide receivers start here on Zero RB Friday. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, fine picks. To me, I'm never taking Jalen Hurts unstacked at this point because you do miss out on A.J. Brown. You do miss on Devontae. There are so many Hurts, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae teams floating around out there. There's enough Hurts, A.J. Brown teams. Dude, you're a nobody. Go run a lap, maybe come back with a better attitude. But you're honestly one, like, Stepfathers, if you've seen him on Twitter, if you've seen him in chats, he's one of the most overconfident, stupid people in fantasy football. And I don't need him dominating the chat here. Like, I know you don't watch every stream, so it's okay. But, like, I just don't like you that much, and I don't, like, need you to talk to me like that. So learn a lesson, maybe make your own stream and give out the bad takes there. But or take a lap and just be less of an asshole. Choose one of them, but, you know, really don't need you. So go ahead. I think Nez knows as a creator. I think Nez has seen it, perhaps. My affirm 0% on Wilson. I don't know if I'm 0%. Let's see. I am at 2 entries of him so far, so 4% for me would be where that lands prior to these last 2 drafts accumulating the data on Underdog. So wouldn't say I would go 0, but 4 to me feels about right. What is the phrase that the ship chasing, ADP chasing guys came up with? The 4% comfort blanket. I think, is that what they were saying? So I'll still have 4% Garrett Wilson if he's falling in rooms. If he's going 10, 11, I probably won't have him at all. Thank you, Nez. I appreciate you for it. Again, I knew Nez when I saw the emoji reaction. I did that, but thank you for the membership and shout out to whoever got it here in chat. What about Brees? Probably the same, if I had to guess. Probably 4%. Yeah, 4% Brees as well. Which, again, is like me acknowledging that there are worlds where these guys can produce. Like, I don't think that's not what I'm trying to say here. But I think people are treating them like they are locked in some of the best things in football. And in reality, like, they are 2 guys who are very fluid right now with how this is going to go. If the Jets defense does anything like they did last year, there's going to be a team that's probably putting up 20 points a game. Do I want to be invested in multiple first-round picks from guys that have 20 points a game? No. To me, the Jets are like one of my fades. But even then, I still acknowledge, like, I can be wrong. It's just I want to make the best case for myself. I'd rather have 12% of CeeDee Lamb, of Justin Jefferson, of Tyreek, of Amon-Ra, even Chase, but especially Brown, Puka, all these guys. I'd rather have 12% of those guys than have 8% of Garrett Wilson. So that's how I feel about it functionally. The 4% comfort blanket. That's it. That's it. I'm not completely out on the Jets. Again, it's just got to be price tag, agnostic, I think is really the main thing to me, where if the price tag is correct, then I'll take it. But like if it's at their current market ADPs, no. I'll scoop the value. I'll scoop the value on a lot of things, but not that. Sort by ADP here. We're sorting by my rankings right now on screen. We've got Arizona, New Orleans, Rams, Jacksonville. So nothing we have to go out of our way to get right now. Go by my ranks. Would be AR, would be Shroud. Gonna go Jaden Reed here. Would like to get more Jaden Reed. I am more of a Christian Watson believer, as you guys know, going back to last year. But Jaden Reed, enough of a target share there. Even in my Spags rankings, the data point that I use where I roll up EPA metrics, roll up some of the target share and some of the overall touch share. To me, for Jaden Reed, like he and Christian Watson were basically 1-to-1 plays last year. And Reed was more efficient. Watson was a negative EPA guy. So if we're making a bet on these guys, I don't know. Reed and Watson to me, would like to get more Reed. Even though I still love Watson. Seem down on Chase. He seems like an absolute smash if everyone's healthy. I think Cincinnati's going the wrong way as a team right now in a lot of different ways. I think that people don't really appreciate how much losing Brian Callahan might matter for that team. He was a very good offensive coordinator who came with very good principles. It also, a lot of reports from Bengals camp so far has been them being more target agnostic, more touches for Mike Gesicki, more touches for the running backs in the pass game. And then you also have, like, if Burton's going to be as good as people think, he's probably going to start to take some share away. If Higgins is actually going to play and justify a top 40 ADP, he's going to take some touches away. This is actually what I was hoping was going to happen, but we're going extreme zero RB here. Tempted to scoop the AR dip, but I do think adding another week 17 correlation with Minnesota Green Bay is good. So we're going to go Jordan Addison here. We have 6 receivers through our first 6 rounds, so a true zero RB build. And we didn't deviate at all for QB or running back or elite tight end. So, or obviously running back. We didn't deviate at all for QB or elite tight end. So let's see what we do here. Let's stick the landing. Let's make it work. Got to be low on Love. Could be a nice time to build a Green Bay stack. Possibly. I am low on Love, though, because of where he goes in that range. Do take a lot more Jaden. Obviously, that's pretty much it. Take a lot more Jaden. End of story. This might be the most live viewers we've had so far this year. So guys, if you're new around here, I do new drafts Monday to Saturday every AM. Again, you see how I'll defend my takes. If you give me a good opposite opinion and it makes me think, I'll talk about it. I'll look up data. I'll do that here, but that's the process here on Splash Play. Come hit the like button, subscribe here. New drafts Monday to Saturday at 11 AM. And that does include tomorrow. We hop it into the world of drafters for another draft on there. Of course, no playoff pods on drafters, 17 weeks of full point PPR. Check it out if you only play on Underdog. Use the promo code SPLASH on drafters as well. Of course, on Underdog, the promo code SPLASH gets you up to $250 in bonus cash. So if you're new, if you're just looking for fantasy football draft content, go practice your drafts in an actual tournament and learn best ball and start to get good at it. And that's the hope here. But go ahead, use the promo code SPLASH on Underdog as well. And shout out to all you guys watching live. I appreciate it. Very nice to see on a Friday here. This is what happens when Pete takes a vacation, is all of a sudden all the viewers are lost and they're like, I need some best ball streams. So hopefully this benefits the Badge Bros and me. Can't help but push for AR. You know what? I would take AR a lot here, but I like the Minnesota Green Bay stuff. I like having the 2 week 17 correlations for receivers here. We have Harrison and Cup. We have Jaden Reed and Addison. We have stuff we can set up late for Oppos for the other side. I wanted to just do a pure extreme zero RB build, so we'll see here. And theoretically, for you people out there, if you're new to the world of zero RB, theoretically, if you take 6 receivers in the first 7 rounds, you probably shouldn't take another one. That said, look at this guy in the 8-hole. 5 straight running backs after taking AJ Brown. Not probably a well-constructed team in terms of advance rate. But for an extreme zero RB team, if you want to have the best possible advance rate, you really dial back on receiver now. You don't get tempted by the 7th receiver, no matter what Rusty Maverick gives us by skipping all the RBs. Just jumped in and totally thought you said you'd do new drafts. Well, hey, if the money were there. I don't think the money is, but if the money were there, we got to go. Charlie heard that the bonus cash on Underdog is like boner cash. That's what everybody's saying, because they keep getting turgid erections from getting $250 matched. It's tough. People are passing out from the lack of blood flow going to their brains. We persevere. By the way, I don't think Stepfathers is coming back. I think I probably cut too close to the bone on that one. Sad to see. Sad to see. People can dish, but they can't take, right? All I do is sit here in the dunk tank all day taking. Got a fantasy football garage here. Appreciate you guys on a fine Friday. All right, what are we going to do here? Obviously going to be a big RB run coming up for us, presumably. Some wide receiver discounts, though. Keon Coleman falling in rooms enough that might need to move him down in ADP, even though I don't really want to. All right, you're back. Yeah, you're back. Just don't be a dick. That's all I'd ask. But you can cook. You can cook. I think it's a great test of character when I make people run a lap and they come back, and you know where I stand. I'm winnable. I'm easily won over. We got a 0060 here. All right, so we got the bet on New Orleans. I am not an Alvin Kamara guy, but I do think at this point Kamara makes sense. We have Chris Olave there. We can be live for late Derek Carr. We're actually live for stacks at different ADPs coming up here. So we're going to go Alvin Kamara. I think if he's priced in the low 80s to mid 80s, that's where he should go. As I've mentioned a few times on stream, the stupidest holdout in football right now. And there's a couple still going on. Mari Cooper holding out, Tyreek Hill holding out / holding in. Kamara, though, holding out because he has $25 million on his contract next year, and he has no chance of making the roster to get that money. Might be one of the worst holdouts. The Saints are capped out. They can move money around always. But Kamara, to me, really bad holdout, but we'll take the shot. I don't want to reach 10 picks for Jordan Love. I'd rather keep making little correlated bets here if we can. Don't mind Carolina. Obviously, don't mind Jalen Warren. Think it could be fun to just capture the running game for New Orleans, Las Vegas, Week 17. Let's go Zamir White. Do like DeAndre Swift, but I've got enough Swift right now. I would like to get more Zamir White. My concern for Zamir White is really the biggest part. Dylan Labe getting any first-team work is going to kind of show the Raiders how the other half lives in terms of like having a running back that has some juice, can do a lot in the pass game. Madison has no juice, so that's the part I'm not really worried about. For Zamir, what he has to do is dominate the red zone role, and that's the other concern for Zamir is that Brock Bowers being there is a great red zone threat, is a major thing. Devontae Adams still a great red zone threat as well. That's stuff that can hurt Zamir White because he's not going to get the force-fed kind of goal line work quite as much as Josh Jacobs did. But in this build where we have New Orleans, Las Vegas, Week 17 thing going, and we also have New Orleans, Green Bay, Week 16, I'm going to go Zamir White for this one. And hopefully we'll get something good on the way back. Oh, this is sad. But hey, I'm right there with you. I get it. Any holdout that makes me nervous? No, because they all have to come to the table eventually. Higgins not holding out, I would say I'm still nervous about that situation. Like I think we talked about it briefly earlier. And part of why I have like concern in Cincinnati, they have like kind of dicked around both Higgins and Trey Hendrickson on the other side of the ball. I think is a defensive player, right? Two guys who are like key locker room guys who they've dicked around on contract stuff. Those things worry me for a team in Cincinnati that I felt like the motivation was kind of waning in that first half of last year. And Burrow's out there throwing and whatever, but the risk stuff, that worries me. So I think I'm just worried more about the Bengals than the public is in general. But Higgins, like his situation, man, like he was so bad last year playing still under his old contract, but playing with like that hanging over his head. He fell off the cliff last year. And granted, he was hurt and all that, but like his efficiency metrics were so bad compared to the year before last. And I do try to read some of that stuff like signals. So I don't know. Jordan Love goes to the guy with no Green Bay Packers. So our dream of pushing Jordan Love back here is dead. This guy also took Caleb Williams with no Chicago Bears. So once again, unstacked, unbadged drafters doing what they're going to do. So we'll have to get creative here. But I think we're live for enough other QBs. I'm not worried about it yet. Burrow was also hurt, and so was he. Yes, Burrow was hurt, but he wasn't hurt in the beginning of the year. He was fine to start the year, and he also wasn't that good. I have enough concerns there. Again, you can make the bet. Ultimately, on this show, guys, I just talk about bets that I want to make and bets I don't want to make. I don't really want to make a lot of bets on the Bengals right now. I'm not the biggest believer in it. And I also, again, really take a lot of weight into when you lose a very good offensive coordinator who comes with a system that makes sense, and you're going to a different one. I think that's never a great thing. Even though there's continuity for the Bengals, like I don't love that bet. You can make that bet more than I do, but to me, like I don't think I have a single share of Higgins yet. If I do, it's like under 2 shares if I had to guess. Yeah, I have no shares in Higgins. I could be wrong, guys, but I think I have a pretty good read sometimes on like situations going south, and I think the Bengals are a situation going south. But we'll see. It's June, July, August. You'd be just as right. Our guy Sleazeball here is very kind on Twitter. Glad to see him here, even though calling me Slash, which, it's pretty cool. It's a cooler nickname than Splash, I guess. Nice to see him here. All right. Oh, the unstacked Jaden drafter got poor Lameek here, too. It sucks. Jaden, a lovely pick, but you are at the most danger for getting Jaden sniped from you unstacked. All right, 0260. We are still trying to make it up at RB. ADP pick would be Javonte. Singletary. Singletary doesn't really do much for me here. I'm going to keep playing the Brian Robinson hit. I just like bets on Robinson a lot. If I get one of these other guys back, great. But to me, Robinson is the best pick at this spot right now. We'll give a team read in a moment here. A new Adam. A new shiny Adam. But shout out, hey, Adam rock off. Hey, you're getting my rocks off here by hitting that join button down below. And now you get 10 team reviews a month from me. My rankings updated weekly in a VIP Discord where all you got to do is sync your YouTube to your Discord and you're in. Welcome to the family, Adam. Welcome to the family, new Adam. Best Adam, I'd say. There you go. There's our new shiny Adam. I hope you don't like UGA too. I hope you don't like the Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to talk about them all the time. Because that'll keep you firmly ahead in the power rankings. And we love all our Adams and our Eves. We love all the Eves. It's all about Eve. Many have said. Oh no, he can't handle it. You can't handle it. The new Adam. Hey, look, we got to corner the market on Adams here. All right. Singletary came back to me, so the system works. I like Chase Brown enough that I could take him over Singletary in some builds, but in this one, we'll just grab Singletary. So we're making it up. Again, we are feeling a little bit naked at QB, but that's okay because we're not really out of range where we have to take anybody yet. Our 4 RBs, so a 0-4-6-0 build so far. We've got Alvin Kamara, Zamir White, Brian Robinson Jr., Devin Singletary as the RBs. A fairly good RB room if we're going to say that like Kamara and White are legit plays at their ADPs. I can live with it. We've got Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Jaden Reed, and Jordan Addison. No tight ends yet, so we're going to have to get there. The hard part's going to be just getting the right QB and tight ends together, but I like how this build's going. I'm happy with the wide receivers. The bye week bros are happy. Here we go. The Adams are taking over the Squirt Squad. Shoot, one by one, they're going to get here. And you know what? And I clicked this accidentally, but we finally found something we agree on, step followers. But thank you. I agree. B-Rob, the one to beat in that backfield. And Washington, I hope you're in on Washington too. If you're not in on Washington and you watch this show, you're going to hopefully get sold on Washington over the course of these next few months. Though honestly, at this point for me, I have so many Washington bags that I probably need to watch them now that we are about 1/3 of the way. I didn't even mention about it. This is draft number 51 for me in BBM. So we did quietly go past 50 BBM drafts. So 1/3 of my portfolio done, and we will look at my exposures at the end. So if you want to see where I'm at, if you want to roast me for stuff, you can do that coming up here at the end of the draft. Used to watch Osmo/Stochastic. Always solid info. Thank you. I appreciate that. Look, I've been in the world for a while, so I was glad to see some names finding us here. Was quietly hoping Trevor Lawrence could come back to 130. The guy with Brian Thomas takes him, so he's got correlation. It's going to happen. Better than somebody who had no correlation taking him, I will tell you that. But Trevor Lawrence goes late enough. I wanted to make sure we had one more good RB in, so made my priority there. I really don't want to reach for Trevor Lawrence very often, so taking him at 111 wasn't an option for me anyway. I'll let old Adam roast me about not taking Georgia players. Yeah, old Adam loves Georgia. That dusty old Adam we had. He's like, if Adam starts swinging, he's like one of those old benches that you have outside in a patio. He just starts squeaking. That's old Adam for you. Cobwebs. The woods eroded. But new Adam, shiny, industrial style. That's what we like. Team review service is awesome, new Adam. There we go. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Been doing a lot of team reviews. I had like 5 before the stream this morning. So now's the time to get in if you want my 10 team reviews a month that I give you here for a membership. Hit the join button down below too. I give you really honest feedback. Like I try to give you stuff, structural stuff, not really as much player take stuff because I don't think that is the value add. But obviously you guys know my takes if you watch the show. But I'm the only one in the world that does it. So take advantage of it if you want. If nothing else, you could hear a different opinion. And that's the best thing I can promise you. Jared Goff goes, let's see. What's our bet here? Does Jared Goff drafter actually have Lions? Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got Amon-Ra. Okay. Good for him. Good for him. Must be real nice to get Jared Goff when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Can't relate. Can't relate. But it must be nice. I'm enjoying this bit a lot. New Adam is shiny, fun, hates Georgia players. Everything old Adam is not. That's what we wanted. We want the shiny new toy. All right, we got a 0460 here. Part of me feels like you can do Eckler and Brian Robson. It's not the craziest thing in the world. In terms of the guy I like the most, it would definitely be Marshawn Lloyd. We got the Minnesota Green Bay bet. Look, I'm going to die on the hill of Marshawn Lloyd. This is one of my players that's going to be a thing that makes or breaks my portfolio. These guys are probably going to scoop up Zeke and Eckler, but I also thought they would have scooped up Lloyd there. So I'm going to go Lloyd. Could have been wrong. Could have been a hasty pick. But when we have this Minnesota Green Bay little bet and a shot that maybe one of the QBs might be my pick later on, I'll increase that bet a little bit. And if nothing else, to me, getting Marshawn Lloyd as my RB5, I feel very happy about that. And I think we were at risk of losing Lloyd around this turn. Let's see what we get back. So now's the point I got to start really thinking about closing off stacks too. But I would like to get in one more RB and be done. Oh no. It's like the Old West. Only room for one Adam in here. Hate to hear it. I would have taken Eckler if he came back to me. But I think for this build, we have the Green Bay running back, a Green Bay receiver, Minnesota receiver. Let's get the Minnesota running back. Or a Minnesota running back, not the Minnesota running back. We got Ty Chandler. So a 0660 through 12. So we're going to have to make it up with QB and tight end. Two positions that you can do that late. Let's give the team a read, though. Got Alvin Kamara, Zamir White. So discount on Kamara is the key part here. If I'm getting Kamara and Montgomery's still there, honestly, a lot of those guys in the 70s, if they're still there, I'm probably not going Kamara. We got him at 82, which is about his correct price tag in my rankings. That's where we took him. But we got Kamara, Zamir White, Brian Robinson Jr., Devin Singletary, Marshawn Lloyd, Ty Chandler. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Jaden Reed, and Jordan Addison. So we still have to get our stack partners, but there's plenty of them to float around still for the team. And the rest of it should hopefully take care of itself, right? But a fun 0 RB Friday team. I think this kind of build where we just slammed receiver, slammed running back, feels good as long as you're willing to not have elite tight end, not have elite QB. This kind of build's fun. How do you settle it? I think we already did settle it. You're old Adam. So there's already a separation there. There's new Adam who's fun and cool, and old Adam who's curmudgeon-y and we love him because he's been around. That's how it goes. Want to be in a room where Lloyd goes at ADP, always goes early in my drafts. Well, he's going early in all of mine too because I'm the one taking him. But honestly, though, there's a lot of sharp drafters that it's made me feel better about Lloyd. Like there's somebody in a room, I think earlier this week, that took Lloyd at like 125. And I'm like, and it was somebody who I'm like, this guy I know is a good drafter. I'm like, you fucking get it, man. He's just in the wrong tier right now. It's okay. Like, he's not that far off, but he should be much closer to Charbonnet, to Zeke, to Ty Chandler than he's treated in some rooms. But I think most rooms are catching up a little bit. Two can play the Kamara holdout game. Yeah, everybody hold out for Kamara. Kamara, though, hey, in this bet, we're making a bet that he's going to figure out I have no value on the marketplace. Because, like, he's much more Dalvin Cook than he is Saquon, than he is any of those guys. And he wasn't awful last year. Like, I have to say, analytically, negative 0.01 EPA per rush, a slightly positive EPA per pass. Like, he was adding some value. That's that. Tyler Conklin at 145. This one whole draft is real bad. So he has 4 receivers through 11 rounds, only 2 up top. Took Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, compounds the error with Justin Herbert, reaches 40 picks, 30 picks for Tyler Conklin. This is why you want the weirdo rooms, but also the downside of the weirdo rooms. This is real bad. Old Adam doesn't like being called old. Must be an old Adam is 25. Oh my God, this old Adam. Leonardo DiCaprio would never date you, Adam. Get the fuck out. 25-year-old Adam. The irony is probably new Adam. If I had to guess, it's probably slightly older if he's followed me from the sarcastic days. So, but there we go. Oh, shiny new Adam is 41. A great age, I'd say. I do love that, old Adam is 25, though. Glad to hear that we're hitting the demo. I've always felt like Splash Play should be more popular with college-age kids, but I don't know if they're doing best ball. The college kids loved me back in the Barstool days when I was doing Tinder roundups. Now, do they want to watch somebody gamble for a couple hours straight? Not quite as much, I guess. Sad to see it. Sure, this is a walk down channel. We walk every motherfucker down when we can. And then sometimes it blows up in my face if people take the player the next pick. Had a great run when we started the walking them down bit, though. Shout out Kendrick Lamar for teaching me, reminding me about walking down somebody shooting at you at gunpoint. Thought we'd get Stafford back, but the guy needed... the guy with Purdy and Burrow needed another QB, despite not having any Rams. Oh, these rooms. Is this DraftKings? Did DraftKings get reskinned? And I'm just fucking dealing with that. We're going to continue our Green Bay bet here. It doesn't matter if we don't have the QB. Luke Musgrave, come on down. It was an unbelievably stupid pick. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. New Adam is right there with me. Tyler's free. All right, that's the plus side. We're getting sniped on Matthew Stafford for a guy with Joe Burrow and Brock Purdy. This guy, the 1 hole and the fucking whatever this is, the 8 hole, 2 of the worst fucking drafts around. Just 2 really bad drafts that both hurt me. Somehow, it's like the unique thing of me. I am a magnet for somebody making drafts that somehow just lightly sabotages me. We have a 0-6-6-1. Okay. We should probably keep some tight end flexibility because we're going to have to get a little weird at QB. Good God. What am I even doing here? I'm going to take Hunter Henry for tight end 2, I guess. I'll try to plan ahead for a QB. Hunter Henry is a week 14 bye. We could live with these guys in a 2 tight end build. It's probably a 3 tight end build. The team so far was feeling good until it's fine. Losing Matthew Stafford shouldn't break my brain, but that was so fucking dumb. We got 0-6-6-2 here. Got to get our QBs late. Got Alvin Kamara, Zamir White, Brian Robinson Jr., Devin Singletary, Marshawn Lloyd, and Ty Chandler. The wide receiver, we went extreme 0 RB here, so it's a pretty good wide receiver room. Harrison Jr., Olave, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison. Tight end, Luke Musgrave, Hunter Henry. So we're doing okay. It's just QB is escaping us once again. Few too many times this week, if I'm being honest. Shout out for Tyler, penny for my pain. Pour one out. Sniping makes us stronger and angrier. There we go. Yes. This is now 2 straight drafts though, Tyler, because Tyler, I assume just tuning in, got sniped on Jared Goff while having the entire Detroit pass catching core by somebody uncorrelated again, not good drafter. And this one lost Jordan Love and lost Matthew Stafford to guys who did not need either player and have no correlation. So it's a tough day here, but still think we've built good teams. It's just I gotta do something better. Yeah, and I wasn't pushing Stafford either. I was going to take Stafford with that pick. It's pretty rough. Shout out guy Tyler. Shout out the working man pain right now. Appreciate all you guys, especially in the summer, working on a Friday. Glad to have you guys here again. You're here in good company because we all hate the work. I hate working enough that I launched 2 businesses at the same time, none of which make enough money to pay for a full-time salary. But I get it, man. Work sucks. I know. And also, she left me roses by the bed. I don't know. Is that the lyric? I think it is. Maybe wrong. Quick plug, guys, if you're tuning in right now, a lot of live viewers. Again, drafts Monday to Saturday here. So that means, yes, another draft on Drafters coming up tomorrow. Subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. All your little engagements help out a lot. I say that not pejoratively, but any little thing you do engagement-wise has helped out a lot here. As this is a one-person shop, solo proprietor here trying to make it work and use my effort, my obsession with best ball and football analytics to make for a viable, valuable part of your offseason process. And people who followed since January know, if nothing else, my rookie takes, a lot of people ahead of the 8 ball there. So we're going to keep it rolling all summer long, new drafts. And I appreciate you guys being on board here if you are a new person. If you are a new person, you've never drafted an underdog, again, promo code SPLASH below. Do that. And if you're a new person, you never drafted on Drafters, we're doing that tomorrow. Promo code Drafters on there. Very fun. 20 rounds, 17 weeks, no playoff pods, no regular season pods, full point PPR. Check that out as well. Full recommendation there. Their mobile app also kicks ass too. I would say it's number 2 behind Underdog, but right there with it. Better than DraftKings. Check it out. Drafters. Boop, I'll flash it here. Try to use some subliminal things to make you guys sign up. All right, what do we do here? So we got to stick QB. Still have some optionality, though. Not like worried about the QB situation yet. If we go on a run of QBs, I will be a little bit more. Let's see what happens in these next few picks. This is stress time. Because this team, the base of this team is really good, but obviously QBs, you may have heard this before in best ball, but if not, I'll break something new for you. QB is an important part of best ball as well. You gotta have that all going in concert. So that's what we're running into here. We're gonna make it work. Oh no, it's a run of QBs. Oh, they're all panicking when they see one QB go. This guy taking an unstacked Aaron Rodgers. The teams in this room, man, the teams in this room have been structurally lacking, is what I would say. Shout out Sladen here. Thanks for the drafters hookup, my man. It's been a fun change of pace. No. There you go. Love to hear it, Sladen. And this is the MSRP of Astroglide. Oh, did not know that, but I guess I could buy some for all the sodomy I've had to endure on stream today of unstacked players. Okay. So here's the thing. We can make another correlated tight end bet for Washington when we do have Ryan Robinson Jr., or we could start taking QBs. I think the logical thing is to start taking QBs, even though I do think Ben Sinnott would really prop this team up. We're going to take Will Levis QB1, a thing that hasn't been said for him in any sort of way besides, I guess, his varsity football days. But he's a starting QB. He's QB1 technically, but like he's more of a, he'd be better if he were Matt Saracen in Friday Night Lights. Will Levis, QB1 off the board. Gonna stick this landing. Ugliest pick, I would say, is not Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers at ADP unstacked is what the ugliest pick is. But I agree. But I've taken Aaron Rodgers unstacked at 190 when I have nothing left. I think if you're doing it at 170, it's like, you got some more time. You can figure it out. All right, so we have a 1662 here. We've got the New Orleans bet, which is going to take Derek Carr and not risk that stuff. Derek Carr, QB2. So we now have a 2662, which feels a lot better, even though Will Levis and Derek Carr, look, if you're going to correct me, it's not the sexiest QB room in history. I'll give you that. But a lot of data does support late QBs and just, the power of the stack lifting them up. And in particular, that was something too a couple of years ago when I was running Football Outsiders, one of our guys, Scott Spratt, had done research that backtested, which didn't make it anywhere because it was only on Football Outsiders, wasn't like a best ball person doing it. But like the value that he had done over backtesting like 5 years of data, as if they were best ball teams, was just the value of having a mid-tier QB rising up. And actually in that article, Scott, to his credit, I think he's over at FTN now, but still, to his credit, he had picked out Jared Goff as a guy who was going to rise because all the ADPs for Detroit 2 years ago were in such a way that like if Goff is good or improves slightly or even just regress what he did on the Rams, he would be a tremendous value at ADP. So this is my copium for taking Will Levis and Derek Carr, is that these guys just have to be good enough and carry that stack with them upwardly. But we'll see. And Levis has an out too. Maybe he runs a little bit more. Like he does have the body to run. Don't know if it'll be the thing in a Brian Callahan offense, but he could do it a little bit more. Need a third draft. I don't think a third draft is going to be happening, but stay tuned. Maybe stay tuned until the end. But either way, though, we will do my exposures at the end. And of course, the reading of names of all the members, which we're going to have to add a lot of people today. We're so close to 100 now. So shout out to all you guys who have been very generous throughout the course of the stream. And if you do want my 10 team reviews a month from me, a VIP Discord, and my rankings, which get updated weekly with over 275 blurbs for players. I don't update all of them weekly, but they generally have where I stand. And when I move guys around, I update them based upon new info or if there is new info. So 3 valuable things here you get if you pay $4.99 a month down below. And the goal is to get to like 1,000 members, because then we'd be making like $2,500 a month, which would still not be enough to live, but it'd be pretty cool. The YouTube economy, guys. If you're a new streamer out there, just be aware of that YouTube economy. It's hard. It's hard when you're not fantasy flock. A Stafford, Carr, McCarthy / Darnold QB room would have made this team sing, oh well. I think honestly, even just Stafford and Carr would have been enough, but it's okay. It's okay. Because honestly, even in this build, I don't know that I want to take the Minnesota QB. I'm okay with just Addison being the bet. As I've mentioned a few times on here, like me right now, taking a Minnesota QB, a Vegas QB, it's just not a move I'm comfortable with because I think those rooms can go either way. So that's That's my approach during this time of the year. I think, as I might have mentioned earlier, in general, to me, like each time frame you're in, you do want to have some ability to read forward, but also you want to react to like what's going on in the world right now. What's going on in the world right now is like AOC a little bit ahead of Gardner Minshew, but neither has pulled ahead enough. Minnesota, you have JJ McCarthy going to be in an open competition once they get to training camp, but Darnold's taken every first team rep so far. Those spots to me, and New England as well, just ones that I don't think are really draftable right now. Yeah, the VIG on YouTube, worse than on DraftKings. It's true. But, you know, that's the trade-off because they have the platform, they have the audience. But, you know, that's why we got to build. That's why we got to keep doing what we can, make it valuable for you guys. I would hope that the $5 a month, especially people that get, a lot of team reviews, I think that alone, certainly my time, like it does takes up more than it's probably worth. But that's my hope is I want to give you guys actual value. That's always the goal here with the streams themselves and with the other stuff too. Always Danny Dimes. That's true. Apparently, Drew Lock looked bad in camp, too. That same SNY reporter I talked about earlier said that Drew Lock looked just mid as could be in camp. Still, the risk with that is that, as we talked about a few times on here, Daniel Jones, if he plays more than half the year, his contract guarantees start to kick in. The contract guarantees things maybe the Giants want to move away from because it could handicap them moving away from him in future years. But if Jones is running hot, I think in particular, if you're taking Malik Neighbors, and Wandale, like your bet is probably that Daniel Jones hits the ground running in week 1. And it's a perfectly logical bet to make. Times the rushing upside, don't hate it. He's going to run less, though. He's going to run less at least to start because of coming off the ACL. So that's the tough part. If I have a slow draft with Daniels and Williams, probably should take McCarthy then. No. If you made a bet with two guys in the 100 range, that's your 2 QB build. You can make a third QB build, but if you're making a third QB build, it should come from a place of value. And then you also have like a game stack with it, or at least a stack with it. But yeah, I wouldn't just scoop McCarthy just to do it now, or Darnold. All right, 2662 here. A lot of receivers on the board, which is the one thing we don't really need. So I thought we'd get Chig on the way back, but we don't. I don't hate a bet on Juwan Johnson here to increase the New Orleans bet, like him still being free. And Juwan, for what it's worth, I know people are afraid of that if you hear me say that. It's because of the fact that he's like expected to play week 1. Even if he misses week 1, we can deal with that. But I think Juwan, to me, in 3 tight end builds, much like I like Taysom Hill as a cheap play in 3 tight end builds last year, I think Juwan at pick 200, especially if you have any New Orleans bet, fine pick to have. So we're going to go that way. 2663, one more pick to go. I wanted to get Chig for the Tennessee bet, but might have to take a 7th receiver to do that, depending if he's there. Yeah, Dylan here is right. It's fine to stack Sans QB. It just means that you have a mini stack that, like, it's good, especially if you have QBs that could beat the QB in the stack you're looking for. Tyler Boyd's the pick here, so we'll get some correlation with Will Levis. We'll have a mini Week 17 game stack with Christian Kirk. I'm okay with that. 7 wide receiver build. You can make the case maybe we take a 7th RB, but I feel good at RB too, or RB as well. So a 2673, Will Levis and Derek Carr at QB. I can live with that as a 2 QB build. They're both starters. That's the main thing for me being a 2 QB build. Alvin Kamara, Zamir White, Brian Robinson Jr., Devin Singletary, Marshawn Lloyd, and Ty Chandler. I think we quartered a few different mini stacks here that I like a lot. The Vegas mini stack, the Washington mini stack, or Vegas with New Orleans. We have Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, Tyler Boyd. Boyd we basically just took for that correlation with Will Levis. In Extreme Zero RB builds, you don't have to add the 7th receiver. You can just live with taking 6 receivers through 6 rounds, but we did take the 7th receiver here. And Luke Musgrave, Hunter Henry, and Juwan Johnson is the team. Mr. Shadow Dog would have taken Deuce Vaughn. I love the bits carrying over year to year. And Mr. Shadow Dog, one of our regulars. All right. Yes, I don't think we need to see the last few picks, but here, if you want to see the board, there you go. And let's go to my exposures. All right, so this is going to include the last draft, I think. Yeah, this will include the last draft. Shout out Rough Buff Fire. All respect. Just wondering how many years you've done best ball. Do you always max draft, and how many teams have made finals? Here, I'll pull up the Chiron. Here. Wait, hold on. I've made this for this reason. There we go. Oh, it's blocked by the comment. Hold on. 4 finalists in BBM and DK. BBM, though, I was a finalist the year before last, did not have one this past year. And DK, I've had 3 finalists in the last 2 years. So that's it. Like, it's hard to draft in the big tournaments, but ultimately I do it well. Maxed out the last 2 years. Main thing to remember if you are putting in a lot of entries in general is that you are going into a situation where you're expected to make the finals 1 out of every 11 years is the rough data. So if you have anything above that, it's fine. But in general, I do my data work. I'm also the person who ran Football Outsiders and bossed around the godfather of football analytics. So if that helps you make your leap here, but you're paying money. So I appreciate it. But there we go. Exposures. Let's talk about these here. This does not include the last draft. Well, right now, my highest exposed guy is Marshawn Lloyd at 45%. Not a shocker here, given that you saw me take him. Jaden Daniels, number 2. We are coming down a little bit on Washington. My goal is to get around 33% Jaden, I believe. Probably a little more exposure than I was comfortable with in my head after the injury situation I dealt with last year with AR and being heavy on him. That said, Jaden I love too much at his ADP, so he's my second highest exposed guy and will probably be around 30% by the end of August. Brian Robinson Jr., again, took him a couple today. Want to have him around that same range as Jaden. Same thing for Terry McLaurin. And Ben Sinnott, who's coming down for me now in 33% of my drafts. He's number 5 right now. Top 5 QBs. Jaden Daniels, number 1. My only big stand at QB because he's the only one that makes sense to me in terms of ADP, in terms of what he can bring to the table. That is why he's the only standout here. Bo Nix, double the field on. Anthony Richardson, double the field on. Will Levis, higher than the field. Caleb, Kyler, Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr. Right. It's real flat for me here, which is my goal. QB drafting to me should be flat unless there's an obvious edge to one of the QBs. I think there's an obvious edge to Jaden Daniels, and I think there is this guy's a starter edge taking Bo Nix. So that is my logic there. For RBs, you saw Marshawn Lloyd. He's my number 1, 45%. Number 2 is Brian Robinson, 37. Number 3 is David Montgomery. As I've talked about, if he's a starter or 0 RB, run great. If he's your number 2 RB, great. He just fits the kind of builds that I like the most. Buck Irving is number 4. I'm probably going to stay with him, but he's tied with Ray Davis, Audric Estime. These are the 3 rookies that I like the most of their ADPs. Still think, though, I probably want to dial these guys closer to 16%, especially Estime, who goes undrafted, a certain amount of the time. But I do like Estime a lot there, for what it's worth. Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, James Conner tied for 5th for me. And again, my RB exposure is flattened out from there. Wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, number 1 at 37%. Number 2, Troy Franklin. I do need to get Troy Franklin down. Want more camp signal from him. It's not there yet. As I talked about earlier, if you're taking guys at time frames, you have to be aware of what's going on for the team. Franklin had a couple bombs that he caught from Bo Nix for touchdowns in camp. It hasn't driven up his value, so we have to be aware of there's still some risk there. Tim Patrick could play. Josh Reynolds could play, all that. Luke McCaffrey, he's locked at the slot role. Shows up early every morning with Jaden Daniels at 5:30 in the morning. Still happy making that bet, but I think, again, probably closer to 16% would be nice for him. Keenan Allen, he's becoming a popular pick for me a lot because of 0 RB builds. Might want to watch that a little bit. And Nico Collins, Drake London, Marvin Mims, these guys are tied for 5th for me here. So all these guys look good. I love Nico, love Houston's offense. That's the logic there. And actually real fast, Diggs for me. Or am I in Diggs and Tank? So I'm lower on Diggs, not on purpose. Lower on Tank, not on purpose, but I do have 12% of those guys as well. So Nico's my favorite bet here, but that's the way I think you play it. If you like a stack a lot, you want to prioritize them a little bit. And if you want to really get close, we can get Nico down a little, get those guys up. Maybe they're all at 16 to 20%. Tight end, my number 1 still Ben Sinnott, as we saw before. Number 2 is Dalton Schultz, getting a share of the Houston passing offense, a big part to me. Trey McBride, I do take a lot as elite tight end. I think he benefits a good amount from having somebody to take the pressure away. Going to lose volume, going to get more efficient as a result of having Marvin Harrison Jr. there and a better offense. Brock Bowers, I'm still 2x the field on, even though I've not gotten him a lot lately at his ADP. And Noah Fant and Jonnu Smith, my cheap guys coming in last. I'm happy to have those guys, but Sinnott's the biggest bet. To me, he's this year's Sam Laporta, whatever that may mean to you. I guess that would mean a pretty big cosign, but I liked Laporta a lot early. I went to him a lot. I'm doing the same thing with Sinnott. Let's hope it works out the same way. Reading a names coming up here, but let me check the chats. Slowed down on B-Rob, and I don't know why. There we go. I do need a Commander's jersey, but again, money's all going to paying Probably bills right now. So here we go. So right now, quick plug for Probably. Again, new homepage for Probly. I showed it on screen yesterday with my sports betting data app. Check it out for yourself. Again, hit another 2 home runs at plus 800 or better odds. We've now had 4 of those, including 2 plus 1,000 the day before last. It sounds like I'm bullshitting here, but our guy Purple Yoshi tweeted it out. He's been doing as well, just using our data, not even following my picks. that I'm giving out on video in the morning. So check out Probably right now. There's a new homepage as well at probly.com, PROBLY.com. So if you're new to the world of EV-based betting, of market data-based betting, it'll change your life and really will help you build your bankroll for stuff like Underdog, like DraftKings. It's what it did for me last year. Built my entire DraftKings best ball roll out of just doing bets off of Probably's initial data, and now it's a lot better, honestly. Stochastic, go check that out too. Promo code SPLASH gets you half off, or no, 15% off, not half off. All their data packages and Sims packages, only discount I think they have going right now. Check that out if you're playing DFS. Of course, tomorrow we do drafters. Use the promo code SPLASH on drafters for up to $100 in deposit match. And again, we doing that one, and feel free to draft along me tomorrow at 11 a.m. And okay, so here's the screen. Of course, we added a bunch of names today, so it'll be even bigger come Monday. We got Robert Griffith III, Historical Anomalies, Matthew Emerson, Tyler, CLN, Mathology, Rupesh, Willis, Ivan, Port, Tony Mark, Brandon Wagner, Consigliere, Aaron D, Nez, Jake Twitchell, fucking Alpha, Mr. I am the KY, Kevin Castro, Lateralis, Lunchable Connoisseur, Short Gamer, Carlos Manzo, Chunk the Deuce, Gabe Davis, Bindles, King of Kings, Thomas Schultz, Laces Out, Spurious News, Jay Stress, Kent Lewis, Jeff F, Craig B, Hoosier Devo, Jason Neff, Michael Thomas, Bodybag Jones, Jaden, Kyler Remillard, Wounded Geese, Jeff T, Jonathan W, Steel City Blue, W for Omega, C40, Mike Robb, Artillery Frost, Tyler Loesch, Best Ball Moderate, Benny, Mike Rickle, D. Owens, Meatwad, Kyle Zoo, Phelan Moosey, Nick Stevens, OG1 Kenobi, Mr. Poopy Butthole, Dylan Hauser, T-Wiss, Justin Dubin, guys, Adam, old Adam, let's be clear, old Adam, not new Adam, old Adam, Dylan Courts, Broncos, Joe the Show, Rough Buff Fire, Kurt Buswell, Vaporware, Kevin McElroy, Josh Klein, Utah Sports, Mark Hartman, Best Ball Brian, Bob Hale, M. Brian Dolan, Garrett Ketchum, again, I love his brother Ash, LSCL Bree 101, Independent Thinker, Chris Mazzoni, Paul B, JPK Tampa, Fantasy Football Garage, James Young, Duke Dean. You've all made for a great week here, and I appreciate your support. And if you hit that join button down below, you can exhaust me on Friday as I read every name here, because that's the commitment I've made, and I'm regretting as we get more members. You also get my rankings, get 10 team reviews a month from me over Discord, personalized ones, and we actually can chat about it if you want, if you have questions as follow-up. And also a VIP Discord. If you hit that join button, $4.99 a month, you are supporting me as a creator, and I thank you for it if you do click that button down below. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splashlight Pod. And if you ever want to question my credentials, let's just all flash back to this beautiful Chiron below. I'll be back tomorrow on Drafters, guys. So in the meantime, gamble responsibly and hit the subscribe, hit the like before you go. I'm just going to click things here. Here it is. There's everything. Blah, blah. Oh, there we go. That's one of the best ones. Oh, can I kiss myself? Mwah, mwah. Bye. Bye, Spags. Mwah. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow, enjoy your weekends. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye.